Morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah,
Good form,
really
thanks.
good. So all these newspaper stories that only Maino and Hoyland and Garnacho, they're the only players with a secure Manchester United future. That has to be an exaggeration, doesn't it, Mark?
I think it is because obviously that would mean probably 22 players are up for
Yeah.
sale, which is no ownership can plan forward with saying everybody's up for sale. But I think what it if you look at the season, apart from those three young, and it's only because they're young. If you look at this season, I don't think any player should be being told by Ineos or the Glazers that they're not for sale because nobody's really performed. So I just wonder whether it's a little bit of a shot to the arm from the owners to say, look, for the next month, we've not made our mind up yet, and we're open to offers because there is Saudi Arabia, and if somebody does come in with a big offer for a player, for example, I think Delo's had a really good season, but if someone came in and said we'll give you 60 million, maybe Man United are saying, look, everyone's got a price. It's just whether anybody's willing to pay the price for some of our players.
That's gonna. I was going to ask you, Mark. In terms of change, clearly from Manchester United's point of view, it has to happen. But it's just impossible for it to be overnight, and this could be not just a couple of windows. I think it could be 3 or 4 seasons before you get a United side that this manager or indeed a new manager wants to see.
100%. For me, the biggest priority at Manchester United, and I think a lot of United fans agree, is there's the focus on the manager. That's always going to happen when the results aren't good. But when you look at the last 10 years, certainly this was happening with Van Gaal, the talk of a clear out of Deadwood, and it's never actually happened. So, yeah, they might change the manager, but I think the most important thing for United fans this summer is that we see a genuine effort to clear out players. And you're right. Bruno Fernandes is 29. Marcus Rashford's on big wages and hasn't been good for a while. But are you really going to remove players like that this summer? But you might remove them over the next 2 to 3 years as part of a longer term project, which is exactly. I think United fans have to be patient. We don't want to be. It's been a long time without being successful, but the clear out has to start this summer, but there's no way it's going to be everybody. It's not going to be. We're not. Ten Hag was actually right. We're never going to win the league next year, and some United fans thought that was unambitious. But there's a club called Manchester City who will be there next year. I don't think Arsenal will win the league next year, and they're a brilliant team. So Man United have got no chance of being title contenders for at least, I don't think, 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is tough enough getting players out. But it's going to be tough getting players in, isn't it? Because Manchester United, with the best will in the world, Mark, doesn't have quite the draw that it used to have because they're not in the Champions League, for example, because they are not title contenders.
Well, I was listening to what Darren Bent said there about the Burnley game and how this is Manchester United and Burnley have had 53% possession. You've got to shed that opinion. You've got to. This is a part of the problem with Manchester United. We're held up to something that we were 13 years ago. We're not that anymore. Like, we've been beaten by a lot of teams at Old Trafford over the last 10 years. It's not exclusive to this year. And you're right about players. If you're a player and a Spurs or Villa come, well, they've got Champions League football. They've got more stability. They might be better. And you've got to look at what's best for your career. So this is why recruitment's so important, and you've probably got to follow the model. We've got to do good recruitment. You can't go and spend £90 million on Paul Pogba anymore. You've got to look at what teams like Brighton and other clubs do, and you've got to scout well. You've got to go and take a lad who's like 20 from Paraguay or something like that, who's got the potential. And that fits into what Ali's saying as well about a 3-year, 4-year project. You've got to look at players that are within your price budget, that are hungry to come to Manchester United, because that's a mistake we've made as well, and then want to build with us over the next 2 or 3 years.
Mark, have you ever experienced a scenario like this where effectively all around the club it's pretty much, all due respect, doom and gloom,
Yeah.
and you've got an FA Cup final to look forward to?
Yeah, but I tell you what, there's a real desire in most United fans to end the season. Because if you end the season, you find out what happens with the manager. If you end the season, you find out who's going to get sold. If you end the season, you can start buying players. And if you end the season, we don't have to watch the next few games with this. And look, I know people don't like the injury crisis, but it is deflating to see a different team every week, which is just all over the place. The one bright spark is the FA Cup final. But to be honest, if we played Manchester City with the team we've got at the moment, they'd have it won by half time. So I just think there is I know it's quite defeatist, but it's logical. I think a lot of United fans just want to get to the summer because that's when Dan Ashworth comes in, the new CEO, Ineos can really start doing their work. So there's just a feeling of deja vu. We had this with Rangnick 2 years ago where it's just sort of like, but you're right, we have got the FA Cup. I'm just hoping we can get some players back like Martinez, Luke Shaw, and give a go in the final. You never know, do you?
Mark, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Have
Mark.
a good day.
Have a good day,
Thank
mate.
you.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.